I'm going to start this off with reading James chapter 5. It's about covering a multitude of sins. Go to now, you rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth eaten. Your gold and your silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. You have heaped treasure together for the last days. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is you kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth. You have lived in pleasure on the earth and been wanton. You have nourished your hearts as in the day of slaughter. You have condemned and killed the just, and he doeth not resist you. Be patient, therefore, brethren, unto the coming of the Lord. Behold, the husband waiteth for the precious fruit of the earth, and has long patience for it until he receive the early and later rain. Be you, be you also patient, establish your hearts, for the coming of the Lord draweth nigh. Grudge not one against another, brethren, lest you be condemned. Behold, the judge standeth before the door. Take my brethren, the prophets, who have spoken in the name of the Lord for an example of suffering, affliction, and of patience. Behold, we count them happy which endure. You have heard of the patience of Job, and have seen the end of the Lord, that the Lord is very pitiful and of tender mercy. But above all things, my brethren, swear not neither by heaven, neither by the earth, neither by any other oath, but let your yea be yea and your nay be nay, lest you fall into condemnation. Is any among you afflicted? Let him pray. Is any merry? Let him sing songs. Is any sick among you? Let him call for the elders of the church, and let them pray over him, anointing him with the oil in the name of the Lord. And the prayer of faith shall save the sick, and the Lord shall raise him up. And if he have committed sins, they shall be forgiven him. Confess your faults one to another and pray for one another that you may be healed. The effectual, fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much. Elijah was a man subject to like passions as we are, and he prayed earnestly that it not rain, and it rained not on the earth by the space of 3 years and 6 months. And he prayed again, and the heaven gave rain, and the earth brought forth her fruit. Brethren, if any of you do err from the truth, and one converteth him, let him know that he which converteth the sinner from the error of his way shall save a soul from death and shall hide a multitude of sin. And the main reason I wanted to read that is because today I'm talking to somebody, I'm texting back and forth, an elder at the church that I attend, a Seventh-day Adventist church, who technically is a former colonist. And I've tried explaining things to this man, and when you talk about being stiff-necked and stubborn, I have never seen somebody so stubborn in my life. And I think the last thing I ended was, the COVID-19 backs is the tribulations. Nothing has ever happened like that to mankind, nor ever shall be, or something to that effect. And then I ended it, why are you working with the Leviathan? Because there comes a time where you just can't go by, that COVID-19 is the worst thing that every mankind, if anything, has ever faced. But I think the bigger sin is to burying your head in the sand and not listening to people who just want to come up with answers. And that's the main reason I read that. I'm thinking, we convert these folks that are in the error of their ways, it might cover a multitude of sins for us. And heck, may even heal me from being a zombie back to a human being so I can die and be with the Lord. I don't know. But tell you, something something's coming up the hill strongly. I don't know what, and I'm not saying I'm a prophet in any light. But yesterday, the Lord, I felt the Spirit so strong in me. It was almost insane, like almost direct contact. And then it kind of happened again to me this morning. And, so much so that I'm sitting there crying and teary eyed, and I'm about to start crying if I even talk about it. That's how awesome it was. So I don't know if I got everything right because I probably don't. Probably don't know anything like I should. But I think I'm on the right path. 'Cause I'm trying to deliver my soul out of this. I'm not caring about everybody and their errors, and they wanna hold on to their itching ear doctrines of demons, and I think in a way that's why the Lord, uh, chose for me to wind up going to a Seventh-day Adventist church. I mean, he got a lot of things right, man, but they're perfect victims to set up the beast system with them believing that the mark of the beast is worshiping God on Sundays, you know? And it's not a comfortable feeling. I mean, you look in chapter 13, there is no place in there where it says there's a certain type of individual that won't receive the mark. The condemnation, I believe, is a combination effect once you worship the image. Because the first part, no, I mean, they're raining it down on you. It's in all your food, air, and water. There's really nothing that you could do to stop it because that's what they've chosen for you. They've chosen a zombie apocalypse. That's how much mercy these gentlemen have. I mean, but they listen to their father, which doesn't want any souls escaping. And I'm trying to do what I feel I need to do for my own soul. I know I don't have everything right, but uh, somehow I think the steps that I'm taking is gotten a favor with the Lord. I don't want to say 100%, man, because it's scary, but and it's tough. Like I'm doing this kind of like because I have to get up the courage to do it offline, not just online or doing it like this. But that's what I figured this live thing could be is a stepping stone for the next phase. Because I am not in any way in the world saying I got it right. But because we're to love one another and help lift each other up, especially in these last hours or last seconds. But I just and this is more like spiritual training to get my faith up to where and literally we are going to have to move mountains. It's not a if, when, but nothing. No. You're gonna have to be able to believe you can do it and it happened, or you're just not gonna make it out of here. And that's how I feel about it. And I can feel the Lord pushing me in this direction. And I'm not sure, anything. I do know that they're always hitting me with weapons or whatever. They started back with their rape weapon, I think yesterday. For about a month, it was giving me a break. Because I think what it is, if you don't pay attention to it and you keep your mind focused on something else, it diminishes some. And I think the main reason they're hitting me with that type of weapon, think about it, that brings in lust feelings to where if you're hitting me with pain, I will prey upon a Lord and draw closer to him to where this type of attack would give you shame and you not feel like it. But I'm not even allowing that to happen this time. I'm still praying to him through it. Because unfortunately, anytime I'm sitting still, even right now while I'm making this, broadcast, it's happening, and I don't want it to happen. And I got one of those zappers, a stun gun, to try and make an EMF thing, and unfortunately, it did work the first time I did it for a little bit, but it isn't working to the extent that I needed it to. And I think in a way, I was thinking because I did like I didn't relapse on anything on the street, but when I was in Texas, I relapsed on the kratom, and I would not have touched that. I known that stuff was addictive like that, but nevertheless, I don't necessarily say that the Lord's holding that against me because it's not. I'm not using it to get intoxicated or anything like that. But nevertheless, I know this addiction and I know it's wrong. So I'm making preparations to take care of that. But I was also just almost thinking it as I'm saying it right now of going back into that treatment center where I was at because it keeps you away from the cell phone. It keeps you away from technology. And if that would help me heal and get some of these frigging, you know, Leviathan frigging wires out of me, that would be great. And I tried talking to this gentleman about that. And, my mom told me, people aren't going to understand. And most people won't. And believe it or not, most of it is beyond my understanding. But I remember a friend of mine named Ghost when I was explaining things to him when I was up in Cumberland, Maryland. He looked at me as I was telling him the bugs on strings and stuff like that. He's like, "Man, you're off your rocker." And I wound up in the hospital up there for pneumonia. And he literally came back up the hospital and apologized to me, said, "Unc, I'm sorry, but you're right." And I'm just like, I would rather be wrong. Trust and believe that. But nevertheless, I think he was staying like in an abando or something because it was a homeless period. So, and I think, the smart dust attacked him or whatever to where, he recognized it. I mean, I've seen it, and that's why I call them griffers. I've seen some seriously nasty digital insects, I will call them. They don't necessarily move like a regular insect, but the way I perceive it, because I don't know if I'm totally correct on anything, but they move towards your temperature or something because this stuff it works on temperature differential, you know. But I remember one time being at a place called the Compound up there in Cumberland, where it's like everything was deserted there, but had major garages and everything. We're sitting in this old train stall thing, and I started noticing looking at the webs, like these wheels the webs were making, like round wheels. And uh and my mind's telling me I'm not holding up any symbolism. That's what happens when you become a truther. You watch everything you do. But nevertheless, um, he got one on his shoe and he's freaking out. But let me back this up to you because I've already been attacked by a transhumanist stuff greatly. And I told him I had to use the bathroom. I had to take a piss. And he says, "Go in the back of the train," and I wouldn't go back there. So he had to pee, so he goes ahead and rushes past me, and I yelled and I screamed, "Go, stop." And he came within, like, 2 feet of running into a spider griffer about that size, but it was still way too late because he landed in a pile of stuff that was on the ground, and it got in his shoes and everything, and the next day, he got all this graphene oxide running out of his shoes, and it was pretty terrible stuff because I don't like this one way or the other, and I can't even tell you the direct correlation between the vax and this stuff exactly, but it goes up underneath your fingernails and your toenails, and it installs that way. Like, if you get a black light, you can see it, you know, um, I'm just saying. And trust and believe, I wish there was some easy answers, but my spirit has been unsettled in me, and for the Lord to actually made pay attention. The only thing I was doing was like because this guy is an elder in that church, and if he would to listen, because they got a lot of children in that church, man, and when you know these type dangers are coming, you feel an obligation or responsibility. So it's like I'm not even concerning myself with people wanting to bury their head in the sand like that. If I want to deliver my own soul, and these are souls that God wants, well, yet they're in error, they're injecting their children with this stuff, they're eating it and drinking it, just like everybody else is and thinking it's okay. Well, you're not thinking it's okay, it's invisible to your eyes, so you don't know what's happening. But, yeah, we're literally living in the abomination desolation, I don't know what else to call it. Oh, the feeling of the Lord's Spirit today just gave me hope, like it was a hug to rest assured me, yeah, like, "Yeah, you're" um, because it says, "Let no one steal your crown." So, this is some trying, perplexing times beyond anybody's capability. If you would have told me if I could go back and tell myself that this stuff that was gonna happen would happen, I wouldn't have believed you. I'd have thought you lost your mind, and it is that difficult for people to believe. I was talking to Mom about a cousin of mine, Anna Marie, who used to be married to a minister. She didn't listen to me, and she goes and gets her beast filth injections all the time, and she was always scared of the QR code. It's sad, man, it really is sad. But we all know something's gonna pop off, and Imma ask you guys if you wouldn't mind to pray for me when it comes to this, kratom addiction, possibly healing from the conversion into a zombie. And I know that might seem weird, but I tell you, when I was in the hospital and they said something to me, they looked at me and they could tell automatically. Oh, here's another thing about that. They literally pulled up on their screen in the hospital. Oh, since the time I got it in my eye, they went back like 6 months watching my life on the screen. And I could tell they were doing this because, my cat also was attacked by it, both my cats actually, but this one had it growing out the side of its face, and I heard one of the Satanists say, "Poor cat," and that let me know right then and there what they was doing, because there would be no way that they would know about the cat because they were trying to shut down. I guess at that time in 2023, because I remember one Satanist saying, "Man, I have a family," because they were very afraid of me getting the information out to where they really was, like, panicking trying to shut down my sites. But they certainly was in on it. I'm not gonna say everybody in the medical field is, but at least in the emergency room. And here's the thing about that COVID protocol. They put your clothes behind, like, a garage door that comes down. So here you strip and you just sit your clothes back there thinking everything's cool, you're just getting examination, and then this garage door comes and closes. Because I remember trying to run out of there, going into the frigging, emergency room, waiting area, yelling, "These mother effers are killing people." And, one of the Satanists, I think he was a guard there, said, "He's losing his mind," and went back there. I mean, it's a tough struggle, but the Lord knows those that are awake, and I truly believe He's gonna equip us with things that we just don't even know just yet. It's gonna have to happen. He knows who is His, and I tell you one way or the other, because I wouldn't blame the Lord one bit about it. I'm gonna be on the side of righteousness to the day, till it's over with. Period. In store. Anyway, this is just kind of a short one to try and get me trained to speak the truth. I'm hoping that the book of James understand because basically, even as I was reading, it kind of opened up windows because we can see exactly everything James just wrote down there actually happening in our time period, especially with the elite wicked ones, banking on their wickedness as much as they possibly can. But yeah, it's a struggle. God bless you guys, and please say a prayer for me so I could see if your prayers are working, and they will work. It's not that. It just the more we start praying for one another and praying for the Spirit of God, He'll come on us stronger, anoint us even stronger until we're perfectly in His will. Because we don't know anything as we should know it, and we don't, you know. And I think putting yourself more in positive thought and thinking of the Lord's creation and how much you just wanna make sure I believe that we can't stand evil to the uttermost extent to where and that it absolutely is true for me. I can't even stand that there is a curse even in my own mind, that I'm stuck inside this curse of even my own thoughts, especially the way they're attacking me. I feel like if I sit still that I'm sinning because it'll make a feeling it's hitting your pleasure sensors even though it's not pleasure, if that makes any sense to you, you know? As a man, you don't think you're gonna experience rape, but yeah, they figured a way to do the same thing that they're doing to women and probably children out there to me. But I guess, they're going to attack and do what they can because this spirit seriously is a spiritual battle, way much more than physical. I don't even know how much what we used to know as reality even exists anymore. It might be another reason we're having a Mandela effect, you know? More I think about it, more kind of been a hostage situation. That's the way I think about it. God bless. Please put me in your prayers, guys.